Hey everyone, welcome to the RotoWire Fantasy Baseball Podcast, the Sunday night / Monday morning version. As always, I am Scott Jenstad, joined as usual by Jeff Erickson. If you guys could please rate or review the podcast, we do appreciate that because it does go a long way towards helping people find the podcast, etc. We're also live on StreamYard, Periscope, Facebook Live, all kinds of stuff here. So if you have any questions or comments, you can jump in and kind of hang out with us for an hour here if you happen to be watching live on video. Jeff, we're 6 weeks into the season. I think we're full go here. We're at 22% of the way to the season. How are you tonight?
I'm doing well. This is one of those blah weekends for fabbing, but they're important. You know, you have holes to fill. You don't have like slam dunk options. It's not Fabopalooza, but you still got to find your needs there. And there, the injuries keep stacking up, so you kind of have to stay on it there and find out what you can do.
It was easily the most active weekend I've had so far, and the 7 fab periods we've had, mostly out of necessity. I had my first main event team I drafted had 7 guys that were hurt on the bench, and then I had 3 guys on the IL in my lineup this weekend. So it was kind of no choice. I just had to. I added 5 guys and dropped 5 guys. So that's usually I'm like 2 or 3, maybe up to 4, but. Sometimes you don't have a choice. I'm actually excited about a couple of the guys I added. There's a couple of guys I want to talk about that I didn't think had a lot of attention that I think maybe should. But that team had, believe it or not, Jeff, that team had 1 guy homer all week.
Oh no! Did he have multiple homers at least?
Well, yes. His name is Dolis Garcia, so of course he had multiple
he's the best player of all time.
He actually might be the best player of all time. But he had 4 home runs. The rest of my team combined had 0 home runs. I don't think I've ever had that happen. It's almost impossible to do that with 14 different offensive players. It doesn't help that 3 of the guys didn't play all weekend, but it's hard to do.
It is, and that it serves as a good reminder. Pay attention to all the cuts in your league. And I'm looking at one of my mains right now, and there's Luis Robert. Not that I'm going to jump on that, but it's just some hard decisions to make. Some guys.
I think Robert's probably a pretty easy one. I don't think we're looking at late August maybe. That's a pretty easy one, I think.
Yeah. What about Adam Eaton? He got cut in one of my leagues. That's like a guy that could start a lot. I know he's been banged up over the weekend, but
that's someone I'm definitely watching this week to see how playing time looks, see how he looks. But that's someone that as we've talked about multiple times so far this season, outfield is very difficult. I thought outfield was a little less difficult this week than it had been in the past few weeks. I did find I had to add 3 outfielders, so I really dug deep on outfielders this week. But I found that it was a little looser than it was maybe the last 2 or 3 weeks. So maybe you get some guys getting called up, some guys getting eligibility added. So there was a little bit to bid on, but it's still someone like Adam Eaton, he's playing every day. That's pretty solid.
Yeah. And that's just someone you can do. We had to cut Cole Calhoun a league. Okay, had to cut Alejandro Kirk. That one was hurt. That one hurts. That's a guy I was targeting, but in the NFBC, you just can't hold on to guys like that.
I mean, he's out 2 months now. He's a catcher. I really like him too, and he was a target for me. But I don't know how you can hold that.
Yeah, and you're seeing some other tough calls. Like Colin Moran's a useful player, but he's on the IL now. Lucas Sims, failed closer, but he still could close. I picked up Amir Garrett in one league, and in another league, I see Lucas Sims getting close. So crazy world we live in. Here it is, mid-May, and we still don't have a full-time closer for the Reds.
And it's funny, there's a bunch of teams like that, and I think that it's I think we keep trying to find who's going to be the guy. We might have a bunch of teams there is no guy all year. I mean, I think we were talking about Tampa Bay this week, with Dio Castillo out, and there's no way to know who the guy is because there isn't a guy. I mean, I think that Castillo had kind of been the bulk guy, most of the time guy, but without him there, I mean, it's just I picked up Pete Fairbanks in one league just because I wanted, maybe some strikeouts, maybe he slides into a save before Dio Castillo comes back, but I'm not anticipating anybody taking the role there and running with it.
Yeah, but then you saw how he was used today against your A's, and he came in the 7th inning, didn't even finish the 8th, let alone the 9th. They had Kittredge, but Kittredge will open the next time. Jeffrey Springs has 2 saves, and he pitched the 5th today. So the answer is the closer. Who's the closer there is there isn't one, is what it comes down to. So. Well, and they said that it's not going to be long term for Castillo. So that's your answer right there.
Yeah, Castillo back later this week. So I think that's if you're picking up any of those guys, I think it's on the cheap to get maybe a cheap save, maybe to get some good ratios. And the Rays are a pretty good team. Maybe you slide into a win the way they use pitchers. So it's it's workable that you pick up one of those guys as long as you're not expecting a 3 save week or anything like that, because I don't think anybody's getting that.
Yeah, the sound you heard was everybody lowering their Fairbanks bids around 4 o'clock Pacific today. But
no doubt. It was funny. I was watching that game like, this is going to affect Andrew Kitch got picked up in my main for $33, and he probably doesn't even get picked up without that usage today. So it's one of those things.
Of course.
It's amazing what Sunday afternoon does to bids. But before we get into FAAB, let's talk about a little bit about Week 7 coming up here. We have 7 teams with 7 games. We have 3 teams with 5 games, Jeff. The Dodgers, Mets, and Cubs play 5. The Rockies have an all-home week. I think we referenced that last week. They play 3 against the Padres, 4 against your Reds in Denver. So a 7-game
Reds.
Yes,
our Reds. Let's get that right.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm fully going with that. Louise Castillo might be causing me to have a breakup with the Reds. So
okay, fair. Yeah. Tough, but fair.
How about mostly? I'm mostly on the Reds. So it's okay. Yeah, he's been it's been a tough Louise Castillo start of the season. The funny thing is with Castillo, was someone posted on Twitter, but like I think it was Ryan Bloomfield, but it really sticks at home where you look at everybody drafted around him and they've all been fantastic. Like you look at Buehler and Woodruff and Glasnow and Burns, and if you want to go a little bit higher, Darvish and a couple of guys up there, Kershaw. Just like if you took anybody back Castillo, just threw a dart and took anyone else, you'd be doing really well right now.
Except for Blake Snell. I throw that one in. He's in the vicinity. He's in the I would say in the periphery of
I was a pick 21 and he was not a consideration for me. So I'm kind of going with the bucket of guys I was looking at. I have 97 points in that main event with Castillo, and I think Rudy Gamble posted, what the average amount of points you would have more in a 15 teamer, and it kind of made me sick. Yeah, I didn't. I wish he hadn't. He has him too, so he posted it out of his own, kind of beating himself up. But it was tough to read.
Right, misery loves company. I get it, and we all have those kind of like, if I didn't do this, what would happen? I mean, Jack Flaherty's got 6 wins. He hasn't been great, but he's got 6 wins.
Yeah, so, I feel like he's been pretty good lately, though. I feel like he's kind of turned the corner. 6 wins that's gold in a season like this. Are you? Yeah. I don't want to get too much on Castillo because everybody's talked about it a lot this week. But are you confident all of in the turnaround? Do you think that something's wrong with him? Do you think this is like if you had to guess an end of year ERA, what's Castillo going to end at if you had to project it right now?
What's he like 6 something right now? 620.
I think he's saved me in the worst pitcher in baseball because I think Kyle Hendricks passed him today for ERA among qualified starters.
Yeah, I don't know. He's on our show notes, so we'll get to him. But
Castillo's 6.42.
6.42. I think I'd say that he ends up with. Okay, so I'm going to be pretty optimistic here. 440, 430. It's not going to be great, but he's going to cut it down.
So that's still like probably a 3.6 or so the rest of the way for sending up the season. Yeah, I mean I'd sign up for that right now if you want to lock it in.
So points in his favor. He's been a slow starter before. Yeah. Like really slow starter before. Even last year, the first month versus second month Castillo is pretty different. 2 or B, I forget what I did, but velocity isn't way off or anything. It's a little off, but it's not way off. Although changeup velocity is down a little bit too, which is weird. He got 1 swing and miss off of his changeup against Cleveland on Saturday.
That's my big concern is as you watch the highlights of the replay, he's just not getting any swing and misses.
Yeah, and he's starting to throw his changeup less frequently. And the good news is he gets Coors Field to fix that this week. So welcome to my fun time looking at FAAB. I'm like, I wonder who he gets this week. What am I going to do? And I'm like, oh God, it's just... So let me ask you: are you benching him?
No.
Okay.
I think
it's legit.
I think it's very legit. I could be very wrong on that one. It's probably a little bit that I am a stubborn human being. It's probably a little bit that I don't know if I can live myself through a really good start, but mostly it's my other options are going to be not very good. I have a couple stashes I have like Tony Gonsolin on that team. I have a couple closers in waiting. So I think it's a combination of those 3 things why it's going to put him in my lineup this week.
That's fair. It's a difficult decision.
I'm not going to watch it.
No, you shouldn't. Although I think, isn't it Friday night when everybody watches baseball too? So
it very well could be. So let's see. So we had talked about the Rockies. The Reds have a great schedule. Obviously, they have the 4 games at Coors. They have 3 at Pittsburgh. So they are facing weak pitching. Good environment, obviously, in Colorado. So I think that Reds offensive players be a lot of stacking in DFS. You want to get them in your lineups this week. Houston has a good schedule too. The Houston offense is quietly really, really good. The top 5 guys, like if you average them out, hitting like 310 or 315 or something like that. I know that Kyle Tucker finally got a little bit warm today, but he had been struggling. But the top 5 guys are they're rolling right now. They have 3 at home against the Angels and 4 at home against Texas. We should see a lot of Astros runs this week.
Yeah, we should. And they feel like they're just as a team they're clicking too now too, and that they're going to get some they're going to get some reinforcements pitching. You saw the news that they're going to get what's his name, Framber back in June, which is ahead of schedule, but they've never said what the schedule was. But that's okay. They're clicking, and
I love how dramatic Dusty is too. He's like, it's a miracle. He's going to be back in June. Like he sees. I used to not like Dusty. I kind of like Dusty now. He's so dramatic though, it cracks me up.
I feel the same about him. I hated it when the Reds hired him, but I also didn't really like it when they got rid of him.
Yeah, and I think he's
he kind of got a raw deal.
I think he's a really good guy too, which makes it hard to go. And he's in a tough spot in Houston where he's like got to stick up for his guys, and he kind of says some stuff. You're like, really, Dusty? I mean, all the stuff happened in Houston, but like, what else is he going to say?
He wasn't part of that though.
Yeah, but that's why he's there, is to be like the veteran guy and stick up for his guys. He has to have their back no matter what. I mean, he can't go out there and be like, my players deserved all the booing they're getting and move on, because then you suddenly lose the clubhouse really fast.
Yeah, if I ever had talent, I would love to have played for him, or if I ever had offspring that were capable of playing baseball, I'd love for them to play for him too. But
it still freaks me out that his kid that got picked up by JT Snow at home plate is now playing baseball at Cal, it just makes me feel old.
Every day there's a reminder of that, man. Every day, and you're not even as old as I am. But
every time the Blue Jays play and you see all the juniors come up, it makes me feel really old.
I know, right?
Yeah.
I used to draft your dad.
Oh, yeah, no doubt. We have a couple of AL teams going to NL Parks. Obviously, always important. We have Baltimore plays 2 against the Mets in Citi Field. I almost called it Shea. Tuesday, Wednesday. Seattle's at the Dodgers Tuesday, Wednesday. Texas is at San Francisco Monday, Tuesday. And Toronto's at Atlanta Tuesday, Thursday. Not a ton of like DH type guys issues there. Like Rowdy Tellez might be a problem there. Probably he's going to sit the first half of the week. But the rest of those teams, Texas, Seattle, Baltimore, like you're not really losing a DH you're really, really worried about.
Yeah, you're right about that. I want to ask you about Robbie Ray. He's got 2 starts this week. The first one's against Atlanta. Did you know that Atlanta going into today, and I don't know how much that's changed, is got the second lowest WRC plus against lefties so far this year?
I did not know that. Wow.
Yeah. They
faced Nola tonight, so it wouldn't have changed. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. Like Matt Moore pitched in relief later, but that's almost unfair anyhow, the other way. But yeah, it might just be it's a lack of innings, and it could just be against one elite guy or something like that. But it's just a little tidbit to file away there that maybe he's not. It's not a Dester. I'm never Robbie Ray, but maybe I should be sometimes Robbie Ray. I don't know.
I think Robbie Ray has done enough. I'm a never Robbie Ray guy too. I think he's done enough this year so far that I'm definitely throwing him for 2.
Yeah, if I did have him, I would throw him for 2.
Who's the second start against?
Home start against Philly, which home is this month is still in Dunedin. In June, it's going to be Buffalo.
Yeah, cool. So that's kind of the week 7 schedule. Let's jump into FAAB. I want to ask you about some pitchers first. Luis Garcia, we were talking about the Astros earlier. He has been pitching very well, 3.28 ERA in 24.2 innings. K rate's nice at 28%. Walk rate's under 10%. In 2019, Luis pitched in high A and low A. 108 innings, ERA just under 3 was really good there. 2 home starts this week, LA and Texas. Swing strike rate's big at 14%. Was he available in your 12 teamers? Did you go after him? I think he was taken in most of the main events.
I think he was taken. Actually, I'm looking right now, smacking me in the face that he was available, and in one of my 2 mains. And so,
how big was that bid?
It wasn't big. It was 29 with a second place bid of, unless let me double check, make sure it's the right Luis Garcia. I mean, that is something you do have to check on there, but it was the pitcher. So he went for 29 with a second place bid of 27. Me and my crack staff missed that one, or did we? We weren't really looking to add starting pitchers this week. It's team dynamic. Yeah, that changes. Actually, he was on our list, but I had him behind a bunch of outfielders because we need an outfielder. And we don't, such a juggernaut, couldn't possibly cut some of these guys to add him too. So.
Yeah, I mean, he's an interesting one. You have an offense that can score a lot of runs. He has to get through 5 innings, but he's someone that, if you're chasing wins a little bit, we talked about, last week and the week before about how sketchy some of these 2-start pitchers are. He's a guy that I think you can feel pretty good tossing in. They won't hurt you, and hopefully goes deep enough a game where he gets a chance for a win or 2.
Yeah, that's right. And so, you bet on the team. I'm kicking myself now. Who should I have cut? But to try to get one more add him as well.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you can't get too greedy. You can't have like three $40 guys every week. Right. And we won one for 39 and one for 34. Would have required another $30 bid to get them. Next thing you know, you're out of 100, and there's still 20 more weeks left in the season. So
that's very true. Casey Mize was someone that, as the week was going on, got a little bit of FAAB buzz that kind of went away with the Tigers' rain out today. So he lost his 2-start week, but does get 1 start against Kansas City. 4.41 ERA so far. I just want to talk about Mize in general. With FAAB and kind of baseball in general, his K rate's really low. It's 16%. Walk rate's about 10%. So it's a little bit high. You can kind of get away with that, but not striking guys out. Swing strike rate's down to 8.8% compared to what it was in his short time last year. I looked at him in AA in 2019. Strikeout rate you hope is in the minors is pretty good. It was 23.5% there. So not bad, but not really jumping off the page at you. How do you feel about Mize going forward? This year, obviously in a keeper league, he's someone that he's a number 1 overall pick. Been good his last couple starts, 4 earned runs total in 12 innings, but has 7 walks in that stretch too. I'm concerned about the lack of Ks plus the walks. Yeah, I think he's one of those. The Ks will catch up to the stuff guys, but not this year or not until late this year. Let's face it, he's got 60 major league innings, 61 major league innings. Give it time, it'll come, but it takes its growing pains a little bit there. I'm with you on the a little concerned about the lack of Ks this year. He's not as an extreme example as Dustin May. He doesn't throw as hard, but it's that sort of genre. Elite pitching prospect throws pretty hard. I mean, the average fastball is 94. That's still as a starting pitcher, that's still pretty freaking hard. I'd say that I'm not. I wouldn't kick myself over not getting him this year in the year, year 2021. And thing is, though, I'll say this: the following week he gets at Seattle, at KC, a 2-step there. It's not so bad. I mean, versus home versus KC, home versus the Cubs, a Cubs team that has wakened up at the plate. One of the best hitting teams in baseball the last 2 weeks, actually. Some of that has to do with their 13-12 game against the Reds over last weekend, but. Regardless,
my buddy Tyler Anderson scoffs at your Cubs love. He pitched well again today. He's been
your
really
buddy.
good.
Is he your buddy because you picked him up, or is he your buddy because you actually know him?
No, I picked him up for the 2 starts this week. He had a really good week.
Yeah, he's definitely your buddy. Got a win, and
they tried to blow it. Richard Rodriguez and Cal Crick tried to give up the 6-2 lead, but luckily Javier Baez helped him out there at the end.
Well, Richard Rodriguez was amazing until today. He actually had pitched a reliever perfect game. He had gone 27 batters in a row and change without allowing anybody to reach base.
That's awesome.
So can't really complain about him.
No, you really can't. It was Kyle Crick came in and hit Rizzo and then walked the next guy and kind of started the issue. And then a couple hits later, suddenly it was 6-5 with the guy on second and 2 outs. I was a little bit worried, but luckily Baez bounced out to end the game.
Sure. And the thing is too about that game. Hendricks, and I know I keep going. I'm jumping ahead on the outline, but Hendricks got BABIP to death. If you look at the the exit velocities in that first inning, there was like a one that was like a 45 mile an hour hit. The hardest hit ball was 89 miles an hour. He didn't give up a single hard hit ball. The defense was atrocious behind him. Marisnik got hurt on one play.
I saw that.
It was bad luck. He wasn't giving up rockets or anything. But isn't it ironic that, you're contemplating, do you started for this 2-step because one of them's against the Dodgers? Turns out the Dodgers was the soft spot and the Pirates was the landmine.
Saying all that, I assume that you throw Hendricks back out this week. They're at Detroit. I think if you draft them, you got to throw that, right?
If you're not throwing that, what are you doing? I mean,
if you're not throwing that, you're cutting them. A couple of the guys who have 2 starts this week, I'm going to ask you about both of them kind of in a group here because I was as I went through, I kind of crossed them both off, not quickly but fairly quickly. Mitch Keller and Eric Fetty. There were not a lot of 2 starts this week. This is kind of what we got down to. There's a lot of really good pitchers pitching twice this week, which caused the problem. There's a lot of guys that we like that are owned everywhere that are pitching twice this week. But Keller has 2 home starts this week against Cincy and the Giants. He's struggled so far. He's got a 6.3. He was someone a couple years ago was a hot name that people really thought was kind of an up and coming prospect guy. He's just struggled. He did have a good ERA last year in 21 innings, but you look close. It was super lucky. It was ERA under 3, but it would have gotten a lot worse if he kept pitching. He's got a 51% hard hit rate this year. I couldn't find anything here that I really liked. He walks a ton of guys. The strikeout rate's not great. I stayed away from both Keller and Fetty. Were you guys in on either of them?
I don't want any of that cheese with Fetty and Keller.
Not good.
I've done better. I've done better.
That wasn't great.
Yeah,
it was a good effort though.
Yeah, it wasn't really. I had a better one on Twitter with that one earlier this week, and I just was scrambling to try to remember it. Instead, just said cheese. With Fetty, he had against Toronto, he had that really nice start.
Mm-hmm.
I was tweeted about that, I think, and then he had another nice one against Arizona. But even his upside, it's like 5-6 innings. Okay, yeah. Any port in a storm. If you're really hurting for wins, you got to take that chance. Home start against Philly at Arizona. Team he did well against earlier, I guess, but it was a facsimile of itself earlier. Arizona's actually been pretty pesky lately.
They're fifth in baseball in runs.
Yeah, that's pesky. That's better than pesky.
That came up somewhere earlier today, and I was stunned. I kind of figured maybe they were top half. I was really surprised to see them in the top 5.
And they're all doing it without Ketel Marte. So,
and there's a lot of them without Christian Walker too. I mean, it's been impressive. Josh Rojas is coming on. Pavin Smith has been pretty good. Like they're just kind of piecing together and scoring a lot of runs.
Yeah, they lost today against the Mets, and in fact, the Mets kind of got well against them a little bit. And Smith struck out in this one plate appearance, but he had a 16-pitch strikeout. It was pretty wild. But,
was that against DeGrom or after DeGrom left?
It was after DeGrom left. It was the setup guy, and the reason why they had to bring in Diaz in the 8th.
I gotcha.
The name is escaping me right now because it wasn't one of their normal setup guys, but or maybe it is, and I just don't watch enough Mets games. But regardless, it's one of those where I couldn't quite remember exactly who it was that did that.
Jacob Barnes is what you're looking for.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, I just stammer long enough, and then you can look it up and get the facts. So I appreciate that.
You think I looked it up, huh?
Yeah, so I'm sure you had that by memory there because it just seared into your memory. It was your favorite moment of Mother's Day, but
yeah, it was so. And it's funny with Fetty's, like strikeouts are up. You look a little closer, his swing strike rate's only 7%. His CSW is 22%, actually like among the lowest of his career. So I think the strikeouts are a bit of a fluke right now. I couldn't get at both those guys, but the guy who I really do like was available in a few 12-teamers is Adebelter Alzolay with the Cubs. This dude's pitching really well. 26 innings so far. I know his ERA is 4.5, but his FIP's 3.72. The K to walk is what's really exciting. He's got a 30% K rate, a 7% walk rate. The walks the last couple of years in the majors, was over 14% limited innings, but now it looks kind of closer to his numbers in the minors walk rate wise. So he's kind of stabilized there. This is a guy that I think this is probably the last week to grab him in 12-teamers because I don't think he's coming back in the waiver wire anytime soon.
Yeah, I agree. I just missed out on one of mine. 15, 13, I think I had the 11, which is kind of frustrating in one of them. And it's a team that's struggling too. So it really would have been nice to have that little shot in the arm, but I guess I was stingy. So I'll go home with that lesson.
Yeah, I think I was in the 30s or 40s for him. He went for 75 in my online, so I wasn't even that close. There was one guy in one of my onlines that decided to open up the pocket. He had the top 3 bids in my league, so obviously he probably was struggling and probably wanted to spend some money, and I ended up kind of smoking us for a bunch of the main names. But we talked about Rays relievers. I want to talk about Tyler Rogers in San Francisco. There was a quote earlier this week. Gabe Kapler said that he might try and work Rogers into some save ops after Jake McGee got smoked in Colorado there. McGee did have a save on Friday night where he locked the leadoff guy, then struck out 3 guys in a row. But I watched that outing. I went back and watched it, and he just was not hitting spots, and he just has enough of a heater that he was still striking guys out. He struck out 3 Padres. McGee's weird. He's at 87% fastballs right now. He was 97% fastballs last year. It's crazy that he can just throw that fastball over and over and still be effective, but most of the time he is. I mean, the ERA is a little bit high this year. He's allowed 3 home runs, but do you like Rogers? Do you think they make a switch? Do you think we see more of a committee than we've seen the first 6 weeks? How do you think the Giants end up working out here maybe over the next month or so? I know it's hard to predict Kapler, but what do you think?
Yeah, I know. And the problem is, so I have Jake McGee, so that save was on my watch. And I'm ever thankful for that last called third strike against Ha-Sung Kim, because that was not a strike.
It was not a strike. I was putting my child to bed, and I was watching it in the dark, and I was like, I obviously can't cheer, but I was like, yeah, that's not a strike.
Yeah, I'll take it.
Yeah.
I think something's different about him ever since. Well, I think maybe it's just that the whole baseball world knows he's just throwing fastball, and if he's not precise with it, if he doesn't have the command, then that's problematic. You fall behind the count, you give up homers. That's kind of not great. I think that Rogers throwing great right now. I had a little bit of him last year, and he was super frustrating.
He was,
but he's super good right now. Only 10 Ks. Maybe that's the one thing. 10 Ks in 19 innings. You'd like to see a closer miss more bats, but only 4 walks in those 19 innings.
Yeah.
And
68% ground ball rate, I think, is kind of what you're paying for. You're hoping he's just, got to give up 3 hits to give up a run. And sometimes the bat's going to kill you there. Sometimes it's not. But I had him last year too, and he was frustrating, but pitching well, getting a lot of ground balls. Like we said, the K rate's weight. It was 22% last year. I was surprised how high it was. It's 13% right now. That always scares me with the closer because, you get 2 guys on base and you want someone that can get someone out with a punch out. But I had some bids in on him. I was a little bit lower. I think I got outbid on him in a couple spots. But I have McGee in a couple leagues, so I'm hoping that he can stabilize a little bit. But I don't know. I wish he would just mix in that slider a little bit, just show it a little bit because I feel like guys are really sitting fastball right now.
Yeah. One more point on Rogers. You'd think a side armor like that, lefties would hit him pretty hard. But it's the opposite's true. He's got and maybe no one's hitting him hard, but the lefties are hitting 0.94 against him so far this year. Last year they were hitting 231. You would think side armors against lefties usually is a problem, but it's the opposite with him. Which hey, tip your hat to him. If I was wearing a hat right now, I'd tip it.
I'm really impressed by that. I kind of would have thought his issue as a closer would be that he would struggle against lefties, but it looks like, and he doesn't even throw a changeup. Usually those under the submariner type guys throw that changeup to get lefties out, but he doesn't even throw one. He's four seam, he's curveball, a few sinkers here and there, but usually without a changeup, it's tough to get those lefties out. But clearly, it's working.
Yeah, it is.
Before let's move to some hitters on FAAB. But first, a note from our sponsors. So, Jeff, there were a bunch of outfielders that I thought were interesting this week, which is we talked about earlier, has not happened a lot. The first, I'm going to butcher his name probably, Trevor Larnock in Minnesota got called up. Did I say it right or no?
Close. I had to look it up for the XM show today. It's Larnock.
Larnock. Damn it, I was close. So obviously he's interesting. He got called up. Alex Kiriloff and Byron Buxton went to the IL. Buxton sounds like it's going to be weeks rather than days. So there's a little bit of run of playing time here. I mean, I don't think that if he was their number 3 prospect, I think, coming into this year. Guys like Kyle Garlick and Jake Cave kind of getting at bats right now. So you got to figure if he plays well, there's a little bit of runway of playing time here. He was good in 2019, A and AA. Hit 309, 13 home runs, 127 games. Had a lot of power in college. He hit 19 home runs at Oregon State in 68 games. Most of the stuff I read about him was like the power is real. He's got a lot of raw power. Where were you on this one in terms of prospects? Were you aggressive with him, or are you worried about playing time? Where do you fall on Larnock?
I was aggressive as my top choice. Right. Alas, I did not get him, but I was aggressive, so there was that. But
how much did he go for in your main event?
Okay, so first main, he went for 77. We had the second place bid of 59. So that's all, yay, second place bids. Fred will be proud of us. And then in the second main, where we had less of a need, I think it was 59 to 49. Although we ended up with Tyrone Taylor instead as a kind of consolation prize.
No, that's not going to be a consolation prize.
I got him for $2 unopposed. But,
that's going to be the best $2 you guys spend this year.
You think so? I hope so.
We're going to talk about him in a couple spots here, but as the day went along, I actually moved up Tyrone Taylor above Larnock.
Okay. Interesting.
Funny, Larnock went for 88 in one of my mains and 13 in the other one. So it's always funny, these are a lot of the same players, but you still get a big range. It's just if you don't think keep honest bids do work in the main event, they do work sometimes. I got Larnock for 13. He was my third choice. I had a list of about 708 outfielders, and he was my third one.
Wow.
I ended up getting him for 13. I had him higher I had higher money in the other bids, but the third bid I had lowered, so I didn't spend too much money, but I was surprised I got $13. So I'm kind of looking forward to it. I think that it'll be fun to watch. I don't know. It depends on how long Kiriloff and Buxton are probably out, but it'd be interesting to see if he plays well, what it looks like when they do come back too.
Yeah, that's true. And the Twins are they're a win now team. So if he's producing, they're going to let him play. He's got to get off to a good start. 0 for 4 in his first game, got hit by a pitch. That's it. But as you said, got rained out.
Rained out today, yeah. Taylor Ward is playing most days for the Angels right now. We talk about Larnock as a prospect. Ward's not really, but he's 27. But you look at 2019 in AAA. I mean, he was 25, so he was a little bit old for AAA, but hit 306, I think, with 27 home runs,
11 stolen bases, a speed power guy. Played 34 games with the Angels last year, hit 277, didn't hit home runs, but had 2 stolen bases, had a good hard hit rate, 47%. He's hit the ball hard so far. Or in his 2019 games, he had played 20 games, hit the ball hard there. What do you feel about Ward? It feels like a guy that maybe, not a quad A guy, but someone that is finally getting up to this level. Sometimes those guys hit, though. I don't know. I had trouble kind of placing Ward in my outfield bids today.
Yeah, I think he's placeholder is what he is until Joe Adell and Brandon Marsh are ready. And I think Adell is sooner rather than later.
It seems that that's what they want. I mean, obviously he struggled last year when they called him up, but I think he has 3 extra base hits so far in the minors. So maybe it's like that, come up once, struggle, then come up and rake. Gotta think it's not too long before they go there, right?
Yeah, I mean, Juan Lagares is going to factor in. They're kind of mismashing right now until the prospects are getting ready. And they've got third base open obviously too, and right now with Rendon on the IL. So you got to look at it from that standpoint too. The other guy that's also kind of factoring in a little bit is Jose Rojas, but he's a 28-year-old guy. He's kind of another quad A guy. I put bids on Ward, but I was kind of just let's slow the roll just a little bit here. Didn't get him.
I did the same. I moved him down to like the 4th or 5th guy. I mean, he can play every day, and I think he can work an outfield for a little bit. But like you said, I think placeholder is a pretty good word for him.
Yeah.
So let's talk Tyrone Taylor. He's playing with the injury to Christian Yelich. The thing that jumped out to me is you look at a game log, he hit 3rd the last 4 games, and that's something I like to see. In 2019 in AAA, obviously there were no minors last year. He had 14 home runs, 5 stolen bases at 269. 2018 in AAA, 20 home runs, 13 stolen bases, 119 games, hit 278 there. In 2020, he did get called up to the majors. He had 41 plate appearances and a couple home runs. But you got a guy who has a speed power combo in the minors. But more importantly to me, he doesn't strike out. I love guys that, when they usually get these guys that are speed power combo guys, like we have Adolis Garcia, who's obviously been awesome, but he does strike out a lot. Tyrone Taylor, K rate's under 20% last year in his short time, and this year he's got a 13% barrel rate in 2020 and 2021. As the day went on, and I was looking at these outfielder guys, he just feels to me like a guy that is getting a chance. He's hitting the middle of the lineup right now. And I think you got to take chances on guys like this. Speed power combo, doesn't strike out a lot. There's some tools there, has a run of playing time. I don't think we have any clue when Yelich is coming back. I don't think the Brewers have any idea that he switched up his training routine this week, and especially that's going to do anything. He's throwing and running, but not hitting, and I mean that sounds fantastic.
Yeah, right.
But I mean, you got a guy who's they like him enough that he's hitting 3rd right now, and if they like him enough for that, it's someone that I was willing to take a chance on, and you didn't need a big bid to get him, and I'm actually pretty excited about getting my lineup.
No, that's good. I hope you're right. Sometimes the older prospects, they can contribute right away. I mean, the fact is they're playing a lot. He's playing a lot now, but they still have Bradley, Abasel, Garcia, and Lorenzo Cain active right now. So that I guess I'm seeing the playing time right now, but I'm having a hard time envisioning it standing, especially if he goes through any sort of slump. And let's face it, I don't know. What did he do today? I missed what he did today, but
he had 2 hits.
Okay, so that doubles the amount of hits he's had in the last 6 games. So it's not like he's really been tearing it up.
Right.
I don't know. I mean, there's some upside. I'll grant you that, but I don't think this is I don't think this is a slam dunk. I hope for your sake he's right, because
I don't think it's a slam dunk either. But as we were going through, I just saw enough. We're looking at. When you're doing a FAAB and a 15 team, you're looking for kind of anything to grasp onto. And there was enough here that I think he was more interesting than I thought he was, say, when I started this morning looking at names. So I got more excited about him and moved him up a list. I mean, I've been in the 20s for him. So that'll tell you that I was excited to see him and get him, but I was not going crazy for him enough. But I'm excited about it. I think he's got a little bit chance here to do something for a couple weeks.
Yeah. And, we dropped Alex Dickerson for him. It wasn't like we gave up a whole lot. I still have Nimmo on the IL. We held on to him, but the thing is that's the league we're not really hurt. I mean, we wanted to have another outfielder just in case, because Andrew McCutcheon's been losing some playing time. Tyler O'Neill didn't start today. It's something that we want to make that have some flexibility. We do have Biggio starting in the outfield right now. Josh Rojas is available to us to play in the outfield too. He's now outfield eligible. So have some options, which are great.
It's a good thing to have. On one of my main event teams, I had 3 outfielders this weekend. The other one I had 8. So clearly I needed to fix that a little bit. So it's funny how that works. It just, there's no rhyme or reason. And I think that everybody was bitten by injuries the last 10 days. It's been like every time I get a text from a friend or look at Twitter, it seems like somebody else tweaked something or got a strain. It's been a weird run of injuries. And I think coming into the season, we were worried about, COVID stuff and guys missing for that. It's actually been real injuries though. It's just, they keep coming too.
It sounds like texting and tweeting is what's causing injuries, apparently. But what you said, we should stop doing that.
It might be every time I get a message, I'm like, oh, who got hurt now? It's just.
You get that? Like people like taunt / sympathy text?
No, more like group chains with friends, like updating and here's why DeGrom left, that sort of thing. But yeah. I
mean, you and I do this all the time, but
right. Yeah, when I look up and I'm like, oh, here we go, and just it's usually some sort of news update, and it's either like someone hit a 3-run homer or someone got hurt. And lately, it's felt like everybody's gotten hurt.
Yeah, it does feel like that.
So speaking of guys getting hurt, George Springer went back on the IL, and the Blue Jays called up Rowdy Tellez. He struggled so far this year, hitting a $179, but you look at underlying numbers. He's got a 60% hard hit rate, a 14% barrel rate, really big numbers there. If you take 2019 and 2020 together, he played 146 games, hit 29 home runs. I don't know how playing time works out here, especially they're on the road in Atlanta this week, so it's probably not going to be a good time for him. But the DH spot is open right now with Springer out. They can play all their outfielders. They can play Biggio. He has improved strikeout numbers the last couple of years. I think Tellez is someone that you might run into a hot power streak, which is what you're kind of looking for if you pick him up.
Yeah, I mean, it's a shame they can't use the DH in Atlanta. I mean, it should be a park that he'd do really well in. But he there's no place for him to play because Vlad only can play first. And moreover, like the outfielders, I mean, we talked about Teoscar last week. He's back and he's hitting cleanup. He's had some pretty big hits this last week. Lourdes Gurriel's not hitting though. That's the guy that could be odd man out eventually.
Yeah, we're actually going to talk about that at the end here because Randall Grichik's the guy that has been absolutely mashing. He's been really, really good. So when Springer comes back, it'll be interesting to see what the heck they do. But Jonathan Villar also playing right now because JD Davis is out. Sounds like he's going to be back pretty soon. But I don't know. Villar's a guy that I don't really think can hit. But he still had 16 stolen bases in 52 games last year. Only hit 230. Eligible at second, short, and third. I picked him up in a couple 12-teamers, hoping to just steal some bags this week. But I think that's what he's there for. If he's going to play every day, he's probably going to run. If he gets on base, it's just a matter of him getting on base.
Hitters are streamable too. That's exactly what he is right now.
I agree there. I mean, if he's playing every day, he suddenly has a spot in fantasy lineups, which he didn't when he was, kind of playing 2-3 times a week. And that was the issue there. He got drafted everywhere, and the people dropped him. But if he's playing every day, fantasy-wise, you kind of have to stomach the batting average and go with it.
Yeah, for sure.
Josh Naylor is a guy that's kind of the opposite end. He plays every day, but he's just really kind of boring. But, hitting 265, which is a good average these days. 2 home runs, 1 stolen base is not exciting in 110 plate appearances, but hard contact at 40%, 10% barrel. K rate's up, but still pretty good. Fly ball rate's up a little bit. He felt to me like someone that if you need some at-bats, you need someone that's playing every day, he works in a 15-teamer just because he's out there compiling some counting stats.
Yeah, he does. And, I don't know. I mean, Cleveland's boring. Yeah, Cleveland's offense is boring. The city of Cleveland, I won't vouch for plus or minus on that. Drew Carey says it rocks, so okay, let's go with that. But Naylor, I mean, I still, we all remember the playoff game, right? I mean, that's always like, yeah, he's got power. He can do this. We know this.
Funny how one big moment like that sticks in your head for so long.
Yeah, I mean, in fairness, he did come up as a pretty big prospect in San Diego too. It's just. Now, I think it was a first-round draft pick. I think he was originally with the Marlins, if I recall correctly, as a first-round pick. And the fact that 2 franchises gave up on him is a little annoying, but it's problematic for our narrative with him. But, he can be useful. Again, if he's available and you need help, sure, throw him in there.
I mean, every day at bats. That's a good call. He was 12th overall pick by the Marlins in 2015. I'm impressed.
Yeah, don't be. It was just, it was just a minor little thing to remember.
So that's kind of outfield and corner. I want to hit catcher really quick.
Yes, I got a guy. Same guy that you have on your list.
William Contreras, Wilson's little brother, got a lot of attention in drafts in FAAB this weekend. There's a lot of people that are starting catchers that aren't very good. Wilson Ramos got hurt. We talked last week about a bunch of guys that went on the IL.
He so far he's only hit 227. He was 0 for tonight, dropped his batting average way down, but had a home run, 6 RBIs, and 24 plate appearances, which really works at catcher. They're in a really good lineup. You mentioned earlier they struggle against lefties, but a good lineup overall. In 2019, he played in A and AA, had hit 255 with 6 home runs, 110 games. Not really exciting, but in 2018, had a really good season as would have been a 21-year-old, 20-year-old. Hit 285 with 11 home runs. I just feel like he's got a pulse at catcher, which is kind of gold right there. That's kind of all you want.
Yeah, we went aggressively for him here. We bid 34. That was enough to win him, and like that. Yeah, it worked out pretty well because it was a pretty close. What was the second?
Who does he replace?
Alejandro Kirk.
Okay,
unfortunately. So that was why we were aggressive. Knowing that's 34 to 26.
Did you guys have to use Kirk this week, or he was a third catcher?
Yeah, we had to use him this week because remember the verdict on how long he was out.
Yeah, that's right.
Wasn't really out yet. So instead, it was if we didn't get him, it was Danny Jansen, who was getting lots of playing time and did have had some homers this past week. So I was like, okay, maybe, and then we'll throw in a bid on who was it? Jorge Alfaro, but he's not going to be back this week. I don't want to take a second zero. Then there's some $1 ones after that, like Manny Pena, Grayson Griner, Austin Allen. I mean, that's how low we had to dig. I mean, that's the problem when you lose a catcher. It's just it can get pretty ugly. So when you find any sort of upside there, sure, why not?
Yeah, I definitely like that bid. I think that Travis d'Arnaud's out for 2+ months. He's got a good run of playing time here. Question for you: I have Wilson Ramos in the main event. I decided to hold him because he's coming back at the end of the week. Would you have held him, or would you have picked up Contreras instead?
Hold. Just 1 week. It's fine.
Yeah.
If it was a month, it'd be different.
Yeah, it's kind of my thought too. I was when he first went on the IL, I was like, I'm dropping him, and then I saw the update that said that if he wasn't a catcher, he wouldn't have gone on the IL anyway. It would have been day to day, but they wanted to just get it kind of calmed down and figured out. So I held him. He's hitting the ball hard. I kind of looked at him. He started out really well. He had 6 home runs the first couple of weeks and has not done much since, but still hitting the ball pretty hard. I kind of felt it was a little with catcher being so difficult. I didn't want to put him out on the waiver wire quite yet.
Yeah, I mean, you don't squat or anything as catcher, so the back should be fine eventually.
That's not what I needed to hear.
No, I'm kidding.
But yes, no, it's true.
They said it was going to be short. You're not getting him for his speed. It's nothing like that. Yeah, I think it should be okay.
Catching every day is tough on the body, so it does concern me from that regard too.
Yeah, sure.
Those are all the names that I had. I wanted to ask you about one more that was available in my main event. Curious what you would have done here. Daniel Bard was dropped last week. He was getting smoked. There was a lot of time. Michael Givens got a lot of bids. I think the guy that added Givens might have dropped him, whatever it was. But I'm struggling big time in closers in that league. I was pretty aggressive on Bard just because he got a save this week, has the job. I hate the fact they have 7 games in Coors this week. I can't watch any Rockies games now. But what would you have done with Bard? He was like 91% owned in the main event. Got a save this week. Seems to have the confidence of the team a little bit, but I don't know. It's a scary one for sure. But with so many teams up in the air, and I've got like 4 closers in that league that aren't really closers. I bet him for $77 and won him.
Yeah, that seems fair. And did that get him?
It did. The backup was I think 40 or so.
Yeah, I mean, if you need saves, like I'm in one league where Jake McGee's my only closer in the main, and if I had someone like Bard to bid on, yeah, you bet I'd be in on that. Instead, we got Amir Garrett for 19, so we'll see about that. I probably won't even use him this week, but I wanted to have like an iron in the fire. You never know.
You do never know, and he's a guy that could flip the switch pretty quick. And Antone and Sims have I think Antone's probably the best pitcher there, but it seems like they still would love to use him in kind of a fireman, high leverage 2 innings at a time role, which is hard to do if he's going to pitch a 9th inning.
Yeah, that's the thing about Antone. I don't even know if I'm going to have him active this week in the leagues where I have him. But I mean, he's been so good, absent one outing, but I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, and really absent one hanging curveball to, I forget who it was, but it was Ian Happ. That's right.
I remember that.
Yeah, and then Happ went on the IL like an hour and a half later, which was fantastic and good time. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, it's just it shows you're desperate. I wasn't going to go crazy for Bard, but he pitched really well last year. He's not been good this year in any way, but I took a shot. I put a bid out there that I would be happy getting him, but I didn't want to go crazy on it. So we'll see how that works. But when you get desperate for saves, it's not really a good spot to be in.
Yeah, especially when the team is so damn bad. I mean, I think that's the really tricky part.
And he hasn't been good. They play in a park where a few runs are scored too, so that's a problem.
Yeah, that's true. Only 2 homers so far for Bard. 7 walks in 10 innings. Man, he hasn't thrown that much yet either. That's the other thing. I guess when you don't have that many saved opportunities and you're used as a closer, he hasn't pitched since his save against the Giants, and that was on Wednesday. So did he pitch today? I didn't see that. I actually didn't. Should actually, before I make those statements, I should actually look at the box score today. But I know they lost.
Yeah, he pitched 1 inning, gave up 1 hit, and had 1 strikeout.
Okay, that's fine. Yeah,
that's a gem outing right there for him.
Yeah, well, and especially, I mean, the thing is, like, okay, they kept him they used him in a game where it was plausible that they could have won. Yeah. So, in fact, they had guys on in the 9th inning, and Helsley actually got the save chance.
Oh yes, for the Cardinals, that's right. The one thing I looked at with Bard, though, I went to see if he had maintained his velocity gain when he came back last year. Obviously, he hadn't pitched in the majors for like 7 years. But he's throwing 90. He's at fastball's 97.8 right now, so he's maintained that velocity. And if that was down to 95, I probably would have just punted and not even bid. But the fact he's throwing a little bit harder made me think that they seem to be sticking with him right now, and maybe I get lucky and follow some saves.
Yeah.
So let's jump into some news and notes because there are a few players I want to talk about at the end, but a lot of injuries, like we said. Jacob deGrom's the big one. He missed his start earlier in the week. We thought he was going to be a 2-star pitcher when we last spoke. Came in, was throwing 100, looked really good, was pitching well. Left his start after 5. He came out for the 6th through 2 warm-up pitches. The catcher could notice that something was wrong, and it looks like he had some side tightness having an MRI. It's a hard one to figure. Like, did the Mets bring him back too soon? Obviously, he seemed fine. He was throwing well. But obviously, everybody in New York holds their breath as anytime deGrom gets an MRI.
Yeah. Ironically, you got the win. But hey, excuse me. But yeah, it's super scary. I mean, the thing is, you got to hold on tight and wait to see what with all your Rocky might and find out exactly when he's going to be available. But trying to see what their schedule is like. They do not play tomorrow. They're one of the five game teams, so very easy to skip them.
Yeah, I assume that we'll get an update anyway because it's Jacob deGrom, but they won't do any press. I mean, they won't do like a pre-game managers meeting and stuff. So, but I imagine it's Jacob deGrom. Well, it's New York and it's deGrom. We'll get an update.
Yeah, that's true. There's only 6 games tomorrow, so 18 teams not playing. Chances are you can hold out for a day, especially because it's a pitcher,
sure.
And make that decision on Tuesday. The problem is they might not let us know by then.
I'd be stunned if he pitches next week.
Yeah, me too. And the thing is, they're skipping Lucchesi, although they could easily skip David Peterson after his recent outing. So that they have options there too.
They do. I have to think they're going to skip one time through. Maybe we'll see a 10-day IL, and we'll hope they bring him back at the end, at the minimum. But hopefully that's the case. Dio Castillo, you mentioned earlier, good news there. He's on track for only staying in the IL for 10 days, so should be back this weekend. Rafael Dolis in Toronto was placed in the IL with a calf strain. He kind of went back and forth. He was going to go in the IL, and then he did. Interesting enough, the Blue Jays had a save op yesterday, and it was going to be a save op. They ended up scoring 3 runs in the 9th, but they used Jordan Romano in the 8th, and they were going to throw Bergen in the 9th either way. So it seemed, even without Dolis there, Romano still pitched the 8th inning.
Yeah, but
it was middle of the order is what it was. It was Bregman, Jordan, and whoever. Maybe Correa, whoever else was there. It was dead middle of the order. So they were using the high leverage spot, which they're very clearly doing. So you kind of have to hope if you want saves, you have to hope it works out, lineup wise.
Yeah. And Bergen is a guy that, he's 27-year-old. He's been an opener. He's a journeyman. It's not like they're like, oh, you look at the 0 ERA so far in 6.2 innings. Okay. That's nice.
Right.
Doesn't mean anything. Yeah.
I think it's, if I had to bet on, maybe a 65% kind of thing with Romano, but if the middle of the order comes up in the 8th, they're clearly very willing to use him there. It's probably a good decision, just a frustrating one fantasy wise.
Yeah. There's a couple of teams like that right now. And I mean, your A's are kind of that way sometimes. They were this week.
They are.
The Rays definitely are. I mean, you've seen that before, and you're like, even the Mariners with Kendall Graven have been that way this past week. Graven came into a game in the 6th inning because that was a critical spot. He threw 1 2/3, and then he got a save later in the week, at least to justify our love a little bit.
How freaking good has Kendall Graven been?
Man, it's just throwing hard. It's really amazing.
Throwing really hard. Hasn't given up a run yet. 16 strikeouts to 3 walks in 14 innings. Dude's dealing right now. And you watch his pitches too, like the movement. Like he's going throwing 98 with a tail on it. I mean, the dude looks nasty. I don't know. Yeah. I don't know where that was for all those years in Oakland. I guess he was starting and should have been relieving, but it's a different guy out there for sure.
You can say that about like 1,800 pitchers right now because they're all getting trained better to throw harder.
Yeah. And, when you're throwing for inning or two at a time and just gassing it out, it's a lot different than kind of prepping to throw 6 innings too.
Absolutely.
Colin Moran, you mentioned earlier, someone that I really liked as a late draft guy. I added him in a couple spots, but he went on the 10-day IL with a groin injury. Weird quote after the game. They said they have no idea how long it's going to be for. They said in a few days they'll have an update. So with that news, I just had to drop him. I was concerned that maybe we're not looking at just a 10-day thing. And I like him, but he's fringy as it is. And, it's just not a guy that I'm holding for a week or two on the IL.
Yeah, didn't want to do it, but you felt you owed it to him.
Yeah. It's about how I felt about it. K. Brian Hayes was shifted to the 60-day IL. They said he didn't have a setback, but he's not eligible now until June. It just sounds like they're just being uber cautious here and kind of making sure he's 100% before he comes back.
Yeah, it's not a setback, but it's not progress. I mean, I want progress at this point if I have Hayes.
It's so funny that the Pirates scored whatever it was 6 off Hendricks because there are a bunch of people tweeting out that lineup before game, and that's about the ugliest major league lineup I've seen in a while in terms of just name recognition. When Jacob Stallings is hitting 4th, you know something's going on.
Yeah, because Reynolds was hurt today. That was one. And then who was it? Polanco that had the went to the wrong doctor COVID suspension.
I think it was the wrong workout facility.
Yeah, that's it. Okay.
Whatever it was, he broke protocol by going the wrong place. But
I have that same problem, by the way. Can't you tell? This just doesn't come naturally.
Well, Kai Tom was hitting 3rd, and it's just
right.
It was ugly, and then they go and put a bunch of runs on Hendricks, which is just the way the baseball works.
Yeah.
Luke Voigt, good news, hoping to be activated on Tuesday. I saw a couple clips from him in AAA hitting bombs to center field, so he looks good to go, and it's a good time. The Yankees are starting to play well. Slot him in that lineup. It should be full go to get him in your lineup this week.
Yeah, I got perfect timing because CJ Crone's been banged up on my yogurt league, so I can just swap those guys.
You know how many saves I have in the yogurt league right now?
It's like 5.
Wow, you're way high. That's not even close.
2.
Still a goose egg.
Oh no! Are you just punting it now and trying to win the league?
I'm probably going a couple more weeks. I added someone this week. I forget who it was, but a couple more weeks now. I've been throwing 9-star. I mean, I've just been leaning into it now. I thrown 9 stars the last 4 weeks. So
yeah,
are you
crushing Ks and wins at least?
I'm winning Ks and wins. Yeah. So there's that. Good. I just got to watch the ratios because you got to be really good at ratios if you're going to punt saves. But I'm never a punter. But I drafted Kirby Yates and Trevor Rosenthal, so it's kind of a forced punt.
Yeah. I hear you. I hear you on that.
Let's see. You mentioned CJ Crone sat the whole weekend with lower back tightness. Not something you like to see going into a 7-game Coors week.
I know.
I guess you just got to check. You got to check lineups tomorrow before you decide. I mean, that's one that's if you got to sit him for the first half of the week for 4 at Coors, that's going to be painful.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's like 3 of Voigt coming off the IL or 4 of Crone, but probably won't be 4. It'll probably be 2 of Crone and 1 of Matt Adams and 1 I don't know, something like that.
It's Lamet, Yu Darvish, Blake Snell. So Crone does have tough matchups there, and the 4th game is against Cincinnati. Oh no, it's not. It's Wade Miley. I thought it was gonna be Castillo. It was gonna be funny, but he's got Mr. No Hitter Wade Miley after that. So he just he's got tough matchups. But if you're 4 at Coors, I think you're playing no matter what. It's him or Voigt for you, huh? That's your choice. That's pretty good.
I have other choices too.
Oh, okay.
I have a super deep team, Scott. Come on. No, I have no other choices.
Wow.
I'm actually trying to see. I picked. Who did I get? I picked someone up there. I picked up Pilar, so I think I could find a way to finesse that too.
Yeah. I'm playing both those guys over Pilar if Crone's playing. That's for sure.
Yeah, but Pilar's playing a lot with.
He's actually hitting well,
out.
Too.
And
he has 2 home runs and 2 steals. It's crazy.
I was just gonna say he's a stream, like you mentioned VR. I mean, Pilar's the same way of streaming stolen bases a little bit.
Yeah, he'll if he gets on base, he'll run too. I mean, he's one of those guys that likes to be aggressive. A couple of guys we don't have real timetables on right now. Adebelter, Mondesi, he's headed to Arizona to work out the facility, headed out there this weekend, but no timetable to begin an actual rehab assignment. So you got to figure he's still couple weeks away at best, because you got to figure if he does simulated games for a few days, then a rehab for 3 or 4 days. I assume we're still a couple weeks right now.
Yeah, and I think that the way the Royals said it, take your time, go have a snack, don't hurt yourself. We don't, it was really weird because they're slumping now too. Got swept by the White Sox this weekend. They're now below 500. They're not. They called up Lynch, and that was an aggressive promotion. blew up in their face. Siege was asking if anybody in our mains picked up Lynch. No, they did not, but Siege did. I had him on my active roster in AL Tout, and so I because I didn't. He was eligible last week, and it was a 2-step. So yeah, okay, AL only. It's hard to find difference-making arms. He made a difference, all right. Not the one I was looking for, unfortunately, but I don't know, dude. I mean, it's really weird how they're like not urgent with him.
You know who's really terrible is Nicky Lopez.
Yeah, I mean, he was kind of quietly unterrible so far this year, but he just doesn't.
He's been legit bad like the last 3 weeks. He's been
I know.
I think he's been the worst. He's been the worst hitter in baseball over the last 3 weeks. He's hitting 200. OBP's 310. He's walking a little bit, but
that's the thing. That's what I was thinking. Yeah, he's getting on base.
He has a 0% barrel rate, which is solid. The fact that they didn't use this time to call up Bobby Witt Jr. just shows that they were never calling him up. I mean, if Mondesi being out 2 months didn't do it, and Nicky Lopez being terrible, they were never doing it this early.
Yeah, I might have to concede that point. They signed him to AA, not AAA, also. But the thing is, they were aggressive with Lynch. They've been aggressive with other pitchers. I thought maybe. I took them at their words at face value, but maybe you're right. Maybe this was all service time. But is it? Maybe they just don't think he's ready too. I
actually think it's more than service time. I think it's 37 games at rookie ball, and that's all he'd ever played. I just, as I got closer to it, I mean, he was exciting. It was fun when they were talking about him, but it just 37 games at rookie ball, it just seems like I think they want to see a half season in the minors, and then I think we're looking at July. And I know I'm way late on that. I'll probably end up being wrong, but I still think we're looking at July.
You might be right.
Do you think Kelnick comes up this week?
I have him in AL Tout. I'm going to activate him on the reliance of that.
It's a good feeling either way, though, right?
Yeah, I'm just, that's kind of a good feeling. I'm kind of like forced to do it too. But they return home on Thursday. Clay was tweeting about that. He goes, "I expect to see him in the lineup on May 13th." Could be wrong about that, but
my favorite moment was he went back on a fly ball. It was kind of a routine play. And I was like, "Oh, he can play defense." See, they're full of it. I'm like, "Yeah, it wasn't even a good play." Like, come on.
Even Jeff McNeil could have made that play, but
I wouldn't go that far.
But I love that he homered.
Jeff McNeil gets punched by his own teammates. See, can't play defense. We got all kinds of problems there.
Yeah, is that what that happened? I thought it really was a raccoon, but
I don't know. It's a weird situation there. But with Mondesi, we've got some up in the air. Corbin Burns a little bit up in the air too. He's throwing a bullpen session on Monday. The exact return date is kind of up in the air. Obviously, he hasn't pitched for a couple weeks now. We don't know how stretched out he is, how he's been working out, or whatever it may be. Do you throw him this week if you have him?
Dude, I had him active last week in some leagues. I mean, it's just you're kind of hoping because it was the reporting was so quiet. Okay, was this contact tracing or did he actually get it? I still don't know.
He obviously must have had it, right? Like he's been out a long time. It was tracing.
Yeah, because he would have been scheduled to start.
I have no idea.
He would have been scheduled to start last Sunday, a week ago Sunday. So basically, yeah, and he went on the COVID list on a Thursday before that 4-game series against the Dodgers.
So he's missed 2 starts now, right?
Yeah.
So they face St. Louis and Atlanta this weekend. They have Peralta and Woodruff going Tuesday, Wednesday, up in the air after that.
Right.
So he could throw Thursday, Friday, Saturday pretty easily. They've got Hauser and Anderson in there, whatever it may be. I don't know. I guess it depends how his bullpen session goes tomorrow.
Yeah, and again, they're one of those teams that don't play tomorrow, so that helps. It gives helps and it hurts because there'll be fewer reporters around, fewer chances to have some interaction with the media and finding out not him personally interacting, but just the team. They could purposely be quiet, and they were on the road yesterday. This weekend in Miami, coming back, throwing it home. I mean, the writers might be having a travel day of their own. Just keep that in mind. It might be hard to get good information until Tuesday. But the good news is, everybody else will be in the same boat on Tuesday. There's 18 teams that also didn't play or 17 other teams that didn't play. So a lot of traveling teams, I think.
Some good news out of Miami. Jazz Chisholm is beginning a rehab assignment on AAA on Tuesday. I assume that'll be a pretty quick one as long as the hamstring looks good. He can run around a little bit. I assume we get a good chance to see him over the weekend, which would be fantastic because he was really, really fun to watch.
Yep, absolutely.
Ramon Loriano is dealing with a minor thumb issue. He was off today. Sounded like they were just trying to give him a couple days. I really hope he was unavailable today, Jeff, because they let Elvis Andrus hit to end the game.
I saw your tweet about that.
Just atrocious. He's the worst hitter in baseball right now. And I'm not exaggerating. He actually is the worst hitter in baseball.
You just said that about Nicky Lopez. I'm calling you out on that.
Nicky Lopez has been the worst hitter in baseball the last 3 weeks.
Okay.
You take the whole year, Elvis Andrus, it's been really bad. It's been he did have a bloop triple today, and everybody's excited. I'm like, dude, that was like a bloop triple. Like it was a terrible play by the outfielder. But if you hit anybody for him, I would have hit Austin Allen for him. His WRC plus, Jeff, is 18 so far this year.
18, that's good. Salty Scott is the best Scott, by the way.
It's not good. But how do you not Tony Kemp pinch runs for whoever got the hit? I forget. I think it was Piscotty. No, I forget who it was. But someone got a hit or walked. And Tony Kemp goes first. How do you not wait 2 pitches and let him steal? Because Elvis Andrus, you're hoping for a loop single. Like you have to use Kemp speed then.
Yeah.
So stupid.
Yeah, Tony Kemp does 2 things right. He runs and he throws ice at umpires. So
what was he doing throwing the ice at the umpire? That was so stupid. And it was like halfway. It wasn't doing anything. I was like, you're going to get ejected for doing nothing. It was so stupid.
Yeah, it was a bad idea, poorly executed.
And the pitch was a strike too. I was like, dude, go back in the clubhouse and watch that, and then come back and apologize to everybody.
Just look at the in dugout iPad. You could have seen that. Yeah,
it's true. But like what he does is run. Like give him 2 pitches, try and steal, and then you hope Elvis hits a 37 hopper through the infield that someone misplays, and maybe you get a run out of it. It was brutal.
Yeah.
Anyway, still beat the Rays 2 out of 3, so that was good. But I think that's most of the injuries. Tony Gonsolin's feeling good. They want him to be a starter. They reiterated that today. Sounds like he's having a simulated game this week where he's going to kind of simulate multiple innings, so he'll kind of sit down, then get back up. So I think we're looking at probably that this week. Then maybe a couple of rehab starts. We might be able to get him in the lineup probably like 3 weeks from today, we might guess.
Yeah, I think we tentatively have him listed in our projected starters have him for next week even, but I think that seems aggressive. But
I think that's going to be a little. Actually, it's I'm looking at last week and this week together, but I think that's going to be 1 week early probably.
I tend to agree, but wouldn't it be nice? Although now that I don't have him in the main and Vlad does, I'm kind of like, take your time, Tony.
Yeah, you guys, the RotoWire grid has him going twice next week. I don't think that. I think that's going to be it's going to be a week early.
Yeah, we'll see about that. Go find God, walk the earth a little bit, find it, rescue cats for a while. I know that's
they're better with the grid than I am, so I will defer there, but I still think it's going to be about a week early. But Chad Pinder could return next weekend if you happen to be in a super deep league and holding him. Nico Horner, progressing well, should be ready to go next weekend. He was actually playing really well upon his call-up. He had a couple stolen bases and playing well there. So there's a few players I want to talk about before we get out of here, but first a note from our sponsor, Vivid Seats. The world is coming back, and the NFL season is coming upon us soon. I don't know about you, but I'm pumped for the regular season schedule release on May 12th. If you're like me and you're looking to see the action live, head over to Vivid Seats, the ultimate go-to source for live events. From the biggest concerts and games to the hottest theater and comedy shows, Vivid Seats makes it easy for you to discover your favorite event, find your seat, gain entry, and make new memories. Just download the app, choose your city, and get access to the largest selection of tickets on the games and performances you love, including the NFL, MLB, NBA, and a lot more. For a limited time, Vivid Seats is giving our listeners 10% off your ticket up to $30 max. Use the promo code ROTOWIRE when you check out. Every purchase backed by 100% buyer guarantee, and you'll even earn cash back with the Vivid Seats reward program. Vivid Seats, getting you into the game. Jeff, I'm going to skip the first guys. We talked about him a bunch. A couple of closes I want to talk about. Alex Reyes and Matt Barnes. 2 guys that were drafted late in drafts. We didn't really know where the job was going to go. Barnes had the COVID stuff at the start of the year. We thought maybe it's going to be Ottavino earlier. I want to talk about Reyes first. Jordan Hicks on the DL, IL. Giovanni Gallegos is clearly in his role as the leverage fireman kind of guy. Alex Reyes, 17 innings, 0.53 ERA, 10 saves, and a win has been an absolute godsend if you have him on your team. But I'm worried that he's kind of like teetering over a cliff right now, that we're going to see some bad stuff pretty soon.
Gave up his first run on Saturday. They asked him to go get 5 outs, though, also, which he did get. Yep. He's walked 13 guys in 17 innings. That's a little troublesome. He totally escaped against the Reds. I remember that, where he kind of loaded the bases up on that. Thing is, his stuff is really hard to hit, though. I mean, he's drawing a lot of walk. People are drawing a lot of walks so they can't hit it. And that's always been the thing about him is, he's got great stuff. Can he command it? Can he stay healthy? I think that those are the 2 big things with him. Big ifs. He always has been a big walk guy, and that's always something you worry about. But I mean, I'm kicking myself because I don't have him anywhere. Not a single place.
Yeah, that situation, I just didn't know what we were getting into, and I like Gallegos as a pitcher, but it clearly, like, if they wanted to make him the closer, they just would have done it. They would have done it last year. They would have named him this year, but his BABIP's 184. He's got a strain rate of 95%, so he's got some fortune there. But you're right, he's hard to hit too. I mean, that plays into the BABIP there. Hard hit rate though, when people do hit him, it's 39.5%, so it's not super high, but not super low either. The thing with him is weird. His swinging strike rate is actually down. It's down to 11%. His called strike rate is down also to 13%. I just feel like there's a lot of issues here. There's a lot of smoke. If I were in a trade league, I think I'd try and trade high right now if I could. I don't know if you can. It's kind of hard to trade closers usually, but I think that getting off the ship right now might be perfect timing.
I'm not going to talk about trading closers today. I'm just not.
Who did you trade? What'd you do?
Kennedy for Votto with Fred. At least that only blew up in my face 2 days later. But
see, that just sucks when trades work out like that, though. Like you want to see if Votto, sucks for 6 weeks or something. You can be like, you know what, I made a bad trade, it didn't work out. But have him just get hurt 2 days later. That's just brutal.
Yeah, it's not the worst luck I've had in a trade. And this was in Tout Wars one year, AL only Tout Wars, right? I traded for Grady Sizemore, so that gives you an idea how long ago it was.
Yep.
He didn't get a single at bat. I consummated the trade on a Saturday.
Oh, no.
We run Monday to Sunday. He got hurt on Sunday. I traded away Cliff Lee, who was
good then.
Indians version of Cliff Lee.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it was a win-win trade. I mean, it was two awesome players, and Sizemore got hurt. I don't think he had a single at bat after that trade. I mean, it was devastating. It was like, here's this $20 bill, except it's a $200 bill. Let's light it on fire right now.
That might have been worse than me trading for Rob Gronkowski like 6 hours after he retired or before he retired.
Yeah. Well, at least did you hold on to him the whole time? So you still had him?
I do. It's actually in a keeper league that we're in together. I
knew the league. Yeah. I just didn't know if you still had him. I don't memorize your roster. I don't really care that much. But
I don't know one player on your roster, so there's that.
I don't even think about you.
No, I don't even think about you either. So we're both neither of us have won that league recently, so there's probably no reason to think about each other. But yeah, it's just sucks when it works out like that. You just want to see what happans. If you lose the trade, lose the trade, but not getting an injury. But on the flip side, Matt Barnes has been good and been really legit good. He's got 2.12 ERA, 7 saves and a win. His K rate, Jeff, is 49.2% right now. That is bonkers. K to walk is 29-3. His issue has always been walks. It's always been a problem. He was over 13% walk rate the last 2 years. He's at 5.1% right now. Swing strike rate's 19.8%. His CSW is 39.3%. His whiff on his curveball is 53.2%. As you go into numbers, like everything is red on the stack. It's a bonkers setup, and I can't believe he's not walking guys. And I want to believe it's true. It's only 17 innings, so who knows? But 3 walks is a pretty sizable change for him right now.
Yeah, I think about him all the time when I look at you talk about your draft day mistakes. League Saturday main event league, the second one of them that I did. We need closers. We waited and we waited. We got Jake McGee, and that one worked out pretty well. Then we didn't, but we also kept waiting and kept waiting. If you remember that day, that was the day that on that Saturday morning, the COVID report came out.
That's right. That's right.
And it didn't come out again until Monday or Tuesday. Oh, he's really not that bad, guys. That was the first of these screw jobs on COVID going on COVID lists. We didn't when guys went on the COVID list, we're kind of trained to think in spring training. Oh, okay, he's on the IL. It's got to be minimum 10 days. They haven't announced the job yet. How good would that team be? It's already a pretty good team, but how good would it be if I had a second closer?
You guys are doing pretty well still, though, right?
Yeah, we're hanging in there. But
that's where you want to be on May 9th, though. You don't want to be first overall on May 9th. You want to be hanging in there and ready to strike and make a run.
Yeah. We need to made a run to get to where we are now. We need to keep making runs. It's a long ass season. I'll tell you that.
It really is.
Yeah. But geez, I mean, if you did doing the Rudy tweet thing with Castillo, I mean, just do that with like Pagan versus Matt Barnes or Ottavino if you just want to do the Red Sox version of it only. But,
I mean, you look at any of those, there's like 4 or 5 guys that went late, Melanson, Ian Kennedy. You stick any of those guys on a team, and it's a huge difference maker. You stick 11 saves from Melanson in there with good ratios, and it makes a gigantic difference in a season where you're probably going to get 60 saves. It's going to be fine.
Yeah. I mean, God, if I had Melanson, McGee, back to back. I mean,
yeah. Suddenly you got 18 saves right there, and you're a quarter of the season. You're set. You're looking great.
Yeah, and by the way, Melanson's looking legit too. It's not it's not like he's doing smoke and mirrors here. He's pitching really, really well.
Yeah, I just a full miss for me. I would have taken Pagan and did take Pagan over him, and I was clearly dead wrong. A little bit misled by beat writers who thought it was me Pagan too, but it's been Melanson, and he has not looked back at all. I mean, that leash is big right now.
Yeah, I mean those reports, where it's like we think it's Melanson, but there was never a quote from the Padres on the record on that one there. Yeah. So that's on us a little bit too,
for sure.
When you're just taking the writer's word at stock value, I mean, okay, trust but verify.
Yeah, for sure. And you just think that you kind of feel like they're around the team, but I mean, you're right. It was more of a guess than anything else. So I wouldn't blame them, but I was wrong also. But we mentioned earlier, we're talking about the Jays with what happens when Springer comes back. Randall Grichik has been really good. 6 home runs, 28 RBIs in her 31 plate appearances. The interesting thing with Grichik is how much he's cut down his strikeouts. Yep. We talking about a year where everybody's strikeouts are up. Everybody talks about strikeouts on Twitter and ESPN constantly, how much they're up. But he was 26% strikeout guy in 2019, 21% in 2018. He's 17% right now. Hard hit rate's up, so it's not like he's giving up, just trying to make contact and hitting balls softly. 47.4%, barrel rate's 9.3%. He's always been a streaky guy. He's kind of one of those power guys that when he's hot, you can't get him out. When he's not, he can't get a hit. But hit 273 in 2020, a really good batting average for a guy that has some pop. He had 12 home runs. This looks pretty real right now. And as a Lourdes Gurriel owner in the main event, I'm worried that when Springer comes back, he's the one that's kind of, sitting and DHing and playing maybe platooning with Tellez a little bit. I worry that Gurriel's going to either lose playing time and not Grichik as we had originally thought.
Yeah. Grichik took advantage of the opportunity.
100%.
Gurriel and Biggio kind of spit the bit on that one there.
Yep.
So that you do have to worry about that. I know you were kind of annoyed that I keep on bringing up names that were on your list. It's kind of caveat preemptor, but
no, it's good. So
sorry.
Bad. That was way better than Fetty cheese though.
Yeah, I know. I thought it was actually good.
Yeah, that was decent. That Fetty cheese was terrible, but that was pretty good.
Yeah. At any rate, he looks good, and he's got the contract too. Remember, they gave him a 5-year deal in 2019. They wanted him to be this guy. This is who they saw as the guy. And granted, this is probably over his skis batting average wise. In fact, he's not probably. There's no doubt about it that he's not going to hit 305. Permanently. This is not a new level. But
can he hit 265? I think he might be able.
Yeah, he could.
Yeah,
he could and probably will.
That's a help right now.
Yeah, and he's a 30 homer guy in 2019 also. That's probably not going to play. It's probably not going to play out that way this year because of the ball. Probably more like a 20 homer guy. But
they're also
I'd take that.
They're moving to Buffalo for the summer too, and you can hit in that place too.
Yeah, you can hit in Dunedin too, for that matter.
Yeah, it seemed like there were a lot of balls in Buffalo last year that it looked small. I don't know. I know it didn't play. The dimensions are supposedly pretty good, but it seems like it played pretty small last year.
Yeah, and the other thing too to watch out for him is he plays center for them most of the time. He's a good defender. Yep. If George Springer, who is having multiple leg issues, comes back, I mean, maybe they don't put him in center. Maybe they put him in a corner.
That's very possible. It's possible he comes back and he DHs for a little bit too. I mean, he's clearly having issues running. Where if he can run the bases, that's one thing. But if he's got to run around center field, that's a big thing. You got to go from full stop to full sprint, multiple times a game. That's tough.
Yeah, that's right.
Speaking of guys, leg injuries, Yordan Alvarez is staying healthy. He's looking really good. He's hit 362 right now, 6 home runs. He's really not walking at all. That's likely fluky. He's usually a really good walk by, but he's 3.6% right now. He's usually a double-digit walk guy. I'm sure that will normalize a little bit. But K rate's stable. His BABIP is huge right now. Obviously, he's not going to hit 362. But I tell you what, when this guy's healthy, he can flat out rake.
Yeah, just like you said, when he's healthy is the big issue there. But man, every time someone coughs, I get worried about him. That's the one thing. I mean, it's just kind of crazy how he's missed those games, missed some very possibly profitable series. Like, you want to face the Mariners pitchers. You definitely want that. You missed out. And he probably wouldn't have played in Coors anyhow because he was a DH. But he missed 5 of the 6 games against Seattle, and he had one plate appearance against the Rockies in 2 days there. So that's super annoying. Missed a game in Detroit too.
It's funny. We talked about that kind of grouping of DHs in the like the 6th to 9th round. They've all been awesome. JD Martinez has been awesome. Cruz has 8 home runs and hit 295. Giancarlo Stanton's been red hot lately. And then Alvarez, like all 4 of those guys, it's funny. I ended up with one of them on at least one of them on each team. Obviously, you don't want more than one, of course, but I have one of them on every team. My utility's full, but I tell you what, I sure haven't cared. Those guys are all mashing.
Yeah. Franmil Reyes too, while we're at it.
It's a good call. Yeah. He's the 5th guy in that range.
Yep. And I'm Stantonless, but all the others I have a little bit.
I guess you stick Ohtani in that range too, right? He's utility only also.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Of course you do.
Yeah.
Of course you do.
Those are guys that who cares the position is. I mean, all 6 of those guys are just killing it right now. It's been a good DH year so far.
Well, and the fact that there are so many of them only adds to the benefit of drafting them too. It's like, okay, well, there's other people, not really getting hurt, by the lack of position eligibility. If half your league in a 12-teamer has got a DH in your utility spot, okay, you're not really missing out.
Yeah, it's funny because we've talked about how weak outfielder is. It's not like I've had a 6th outfielder that I'm jonesing to use every week either. So it hasn't been that big of a problem.
Yeah. And it's so funny, like how many times we have like a second base outfielder, like, well, I'll never use them in the outfield. No, Josh Rojas is in my outfield right now. Whit Merrifield's in the outfield. It's happens a lot this year.
JD's at 5 outfield games, so it's taking a while, but I think he's going to get there. But we're probably looking at next month before he gets his outfield eligibility.
Yeah, Paul Sporer chimes in the chat there. He missed out on Cruz and JD because he was waiting for Ohtani.
That's played well.
Yeah, just Rudy. I think it was Rudy that was waiting for Franmil Reyes. Hey, power to you for that. I mean, smart.
It's amazing how the whole group has been just really good. So.
Yeah.
Last guy I wanted to talk about, we talked about it a little bit earlier, but Tyler Anderson pitched well against the Cubs today. I mentioned he's my boy because I picked him up earlier this week. But you look at his overall, 41.1 innings, a 3.05 ERA. You look at his metrics. I mean, his K rate's up 7% right now to 23%. So he's actually striking guys out, believe it or not. The walk rate's down a little bit to 8.1%. You're kind of right in that range where it's almost a little too high, but you can deal with it. Hard hits pretty good at 37%. Everybody's hitting the ball hard this year, obviously. Barrel rate's 7.5%. You can deal with that. He's throwing more cutters. He's throwing 27% cutters right now. The pitch has been really good for him. A 190 batting average against 243 slug. His whiff rate on his fastball is up 10% to 30%. I think maybe adding that third pitch and using it more has made his fastball a little more effective. He only throws 90-91, but it's been more effective. The changeup's been really good, 31% whiff rate. I watched him this week. I watched his last couple starts, and I watched him the week before that. He seems to me like, you see him wind up, and you're like, oh, there's Tyler Anderson. Here's it comes. But he seems like a little bit of a different pitcher to me right now. I'm a little bit wary about using him on bad matchups, but I think in good matchups and 2-steps, I'm going to use him for the time being. And I think that you might get some good stuff out of him. He feels like a little bit of a different pitcher to me, not like a guy just getting lucky right now.
That's what makes Mitch Keller so damn frustrating, because you see Anderson, goes to Pittsburgh, gets better. You see JT Brubaker being a pretty credible pitcher so far. And then you see Keller, like, what the hell? I mean, Keller is having a really hard time with this fastball. I guess you can't get people out with your fastball. That's kind of the issue there. But revenge game for Tyler Anderson against San Francisco this week. You using him?
Is that where he is? I'm looking at the schedule.
Home against San Francisco. The Giants are actually better hitting a team on the road, though, aren't they? Or at least they have been in the past.
Let's see. Yeah, I think I'm using it.
Yeah, I think. Well, and again, as Todd Zola says, it's the cop-out answer, but it depends on your options.
Yeah,
most of us aren't so deep that we have so many superior options. Yeah, I use it too.
I have been the main event to 15-teamer. The Giants are obviously different than they were a couple years ago. There's some scary guys there, but in Pittsburgh against the Giants, I think I'm throwing that and riding this as long as we can go here and see how long the ride goes for.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, we spent this whole podcast though. The Giants are playing some really good ball. I know they got beat today, but I think they had the best them and RAs. The Bay Area represents right now.
We are. It's been good. I think they've both taken over. They've taken over the California lead on the Dodgers for sure, because the Dodgers haven't 2-8 on this road trip or whatever it was. But
yeah, and the Angels Giants lost 4 in a row to the Rays. So
the Giants are 20-14. The A's are 21-15. So unfortunately, they're .005 higher than us in win percentage, which always pisses me off. But they've been good. Plus 27 run differential. The run differential is almost the same as the Dodgers now. It's I don't know. I keep wanting to think it's a fluke and not go anywhere. But I mean, look at someone like Kevin Gausman, who's pitching as well as anybody else in the league right now.
Yeah,
maybe the non Jacob deGrom division, but among mortals, he's been just about as good as anybody.
Yeah, he sure has. He's been awfully fun. WRC plus for the Giants at home is 108. On the road, it's actually worse. It's 97. Again, samples.
So it's so weird.
Caveats.
It's so weird they hit it home now. It's just it's wild.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. Well, yeah, it is. It's really wild.
Did you see the ball that Cronenworth hit there today? By the way.
Oh my gosh, that was a monster shot.
He hit that. I'm like, oh, that's crushed. And I saw how far deep it landed in the bay. I was like, oh my goodness, it almost hit that woman in her kayak, but that was a bomb.
Yeah, it wasn't just crush. It was crush. It was crush for crush. I mean, it was pretty amazing.
He hasn't done a lot lately, but I love Jake Cronenworth. I don't know what it is. I love the dude. So anybody else that you want to talk about? We've gone a while here. Is anybody else on your mind before we jump out?
No, the Giants were the one thing that was on my mind, so we cover that.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see if they can kind of keep it up. You know, teams can get hot for a while, but it'll be a fun story to watch. They're getting pitching. Cueto came back today, did not pitch well, but they're kind of getting everything. Anthony DeSclafani, we didn't even talk about, has been great too, and he looks legit to me also.
Yeah, we got some Goss Mania, some Desco fever. I mean, it's like the 70s all over right now.
Reborn Alex Wood. It's been wild.
Yeah, it has. Stay healthy, Wood. Probably for sure. Probably unlikely to happen, but
Aaron Sanchez won the IL this weekend, so nobody's surprised there with his velo down 4 miles an hour it was. But just a guy that can never stay healthy. It sucks.
Yeah, I know. It's a bummer.
Cool. Well, thanks everybody for listening to the RotoWire Fantasy Baseball Podcast. If you want to follow Jeff on Twitter, he's at Jeff_Erickson. I am at Scott Jenstad. Our names are on the screen if you happen to be watching the video. Again, if you could please rate or review the podcast, we would greatly appreciate that. Also, other than that, let us know on Twitter if there's anything you want us to hit up on next podcast. Hope everybody has a fantastic week and hopefully fewer injuries to discuss next week. But hope everybody has a good week. Take care.